Did you know that for 74 years, the British basically ran Egypt? 74 years. That's longer than most people live. How on earth did that happen? It's a story that's way more complex than just a simple invasion. It all starts back in the late 19th century. Egypt was technically part of the Ottoman Empire, but it was operating with a lot of independence under its own ruler, the Khedive. The problem was, Egypt was in serious financial trouble. The Khedive, Ismail Pasha, had big dreams. He wanted to modernize Egypt, building things like railways, canals, and grand boulevards. Think Paris on the Nile. The most famous project, of course, was the Suez Canal. These projects were incredibly expensive, and Egypt started borrowing massive amounts of money, mainly from British and French banks. By the 1870s, the country was drowning in debt. To manage this debt, Britain and France stepped in, placing their own officials in key government positions to control Egypt's finances. You can imagine how well that went down with the Egyptian people. This foreign control sparked a wave of nationalism. An army officer named Ahmed Yarabi led a revolt with the powerful slogan "Egypt for the Egyptians." He and his followers wanted to kick out the foreign influence and establish a constitutional government. They were gaining a lot of support, and for a moment, it looked like they might succeed. But Britain was watching very closely. The Suez Canal was their lifeline to India, their most valuable colony. They couldn't risk a hostile, independent government controlling that waterway. So, what did they do? They decided to intervene. In 1882, the British fleet bombarded the city of Alexandria. Soon after, British troops landed, and at the Battle of Tel el-Kebir, they decisively defeated Yarabi's army. Just like that, the nationalist revolt was crushed. Now, here's the crazy part. The British Prime Minister at the time, William Gladstone, promised this would be a temporary occupation. They were just there to restore order, sort out the finances, and then leave. He said it would be a matter of months, maybe a year or two at most. But those months turned into years, and the years turned into decades. Why? Well, once you're in, it's hard to get out. The British found that every time they considered leaving, a new crisis would pop up. They'd say, "We can't leave now, the political situation is too unstable," or "We need to stay to protect European interests." The Suez Canal remained the top priority. They propped up a puppet government, with the Khedive still on his throne but with a British advisor who was the real power behind the scenes. This advisor, Lord Cromer, effectively ruled Egypt for over 20 years. This Veiled Protectorate was a clever system. Paper, Egypt was still autonomous. In reality, Britain controlled its military, its finances, and its foreign policy. They built infrastructure like dams and railways, which did benefit Egypt in some ways. But it was all designed to serve British economic interests, especially the cotton industry. Egyptian cotton was crucial for Britain's textile mills. They basically turned Egypt into a giant cotton farm for the British Empire. Of course, the Egyptians never stopped wanting their independence. There were constant protests, writings, and political movements demanding the British leave. After World War I, these demands grew louder and more organized, leading to a nationwide revolution in 1919, faced with massive unrest. Britain finally granted Egypt nominal independence in 1922, but, and this is a big but, they kept troops in the country to protect the Suez Canal. So, was Egypt really independent? Not really. The final chapter didn't come until after World War II. A group of nationalist military officers, led by Gamal Abdel Nasser, overthrew the monarchy in 1952. This was the real turning point. Nasser was determined to end all foreign influence. The final showdown came in 1956 during the Suez Crisis, when Nasser nationalized the canal. After a tense international standoff, the last British troops finally evacuated Egyptian soil, 74 years after they first landed in Alexandria, promising a short stay. Their occupation was finally over. It's a powerful lesson in how a temporary intervention can turn into a decades-long occupation, all driven by money, power, and a single, vital waterway. Thanks for watching. If you found this story fascinating, Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you next time.